Yes, without wasting much of our time any longer, we would like to start the program for today, day 2 of our virtual workshop for Nasfat Imams and Dawah workers, of course, and education secretaries. We thank everybody for attending the workshop yesterday. And everyone will agree with me that it was a very resourceful seminar. For today, we are starting right away. And the theme of today's workshop is online facilities from training to application in Dawah and education. And we shall be having 3 sessions for today. We shall be welcoming our distinguished lecturers, 3 of them in person of Dr. A.J.K. Shitu will be starting off, and the topic of his paper is VWeb and mobile-based communication applications using Google Meet in Dawah. Thereafter, we shall also be hosting Dr. Nusra Polatito Afolabi Balogun. She will also be talking on quality assessments, students' feedbacks, and improvising hands-on training. And the last but not the least guest speaker for today will be Professor Muse Oke, also from Fountain University, Osogbo. His topic for discussion is online classes for schools, motivations and identification of students, design, implementation, and learning modality preferences. So those are the 3 major papers that we have for today. And inshallah, we hope that all of us should be attentive to listen to these 3 papers, just like we did yesterday. We had 4 papers yesterday presented by our eminent professors from the UK and of course in Nigeria, the one that was presented by the communicator. I've forgotten his name. So on this note, I would like to invite the Vice Chancellor of Fountain University, Osogbo, Professor Amidu Sani, to give his welcome address before we continue. Thank you so much, and Assalamu alaikum. Professor Amidu Sani, sir.
Hello? Hello?
Yes, Salam alaikum, Vice Chancellor. We can hear you loud and clear now.
I hope you can hear me. Well, my job is simply to welcome to this session of the program, which is specifically meant for all Dawah workers and education officers and those working in the field of education. And I just want us to pay a very good and rapt attention to the submissions and the presentation from all our speakers. And I can assure you that presentations that were made yesterday will be made available to all participants. Of course, the e-copy will be sent to your link. The link will be sent to your email and whatever. So please ensure that you register your email. Of course, I don't know whether the ICT will also send you the link through the chat, but just rest assured that you are going to have the advantage of going through all the presentations that were made yesterday and those that we made today. And just to make sure that it's not just a talk shop. We want it to be a workshop. So we want you to be able to apply whatever insight.
No. I think there is a little technical issue with the Vice Chancellor's audio device. We barely can hear. Okay, the Vice Chancellor, sir, if you are hearing us, you have muted your audio device again. Can you just unmute? Can you unmute and continue with your welcome address?
Press unmute. Hello?
Okay, yes, we can hear you now, sir. You can continue.
Because well, I had earlier concluded my.
I don't know. You have it's muted again, sir. It's muted. Okay, now it's you are for muted. Yeah, okay.
Am I on now?
You are on again. You are on again now. Yes, we can hear you now, sir.
So fine. Well, I'm trying to welcome again all participants to today's session and to assure them that the philosophy behind this thing is to make us more practical. It's not meant to be a talking shop or a talk show, but it's certainly intended to avail you of new insights, new techniques, and new ideas about relevant as an educator or as somebody who interacts with students of community or with members of our Salatu groups. So, and as I said, we are going to make available to you copies or the links to the presentations that were made. The ICT will do that. And if you also want to have by email, ensure that your correct email addresses are sent to the ICT so they can forward the presentations to you. But the bottom line is that to apply the insight and the techniques we're able to gather from this workshop, and of course ensure that the names, the certificates are going to be issued to you as a participant to ensure us the correct spelling and the way you want your name to be spelled, because all participants are given the requisite certificate of participation or serving as resource person. So when the time comes for you to ask questions, please send your questions to the moderator, and of course you may want to state who the person, the person to whom you want the question to be addressed to, and then it will be taken care of. So thank you very much. A very happy and rewarding session. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you very much, Mr. Vice Chancellor, for that apt welcome address. We are so grateful, and we say Jazakallah khair. Yes, on this note, I would like to invite Professor Goke Lalude, who will be moderating today's session of the program, as well as he will be reciting the citation of all the lecturers, all the speakers for today's workshop. So, Dr. Professor Goke Lalude, sir, sorry for my, yes, please, can you, Bismillah, can you come and take over? Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum. I want to welcome every participant and indeed resource persons to the Fountain University workshop for Nasfat Imams, Dawah workers, and Dawah workers and education officers, home and in diaspora. I want to say here that we are likely going to have a larger set of participants, unlike what we had yesterday, when we were limited to only 100 participants only. The implication of this is that we need to, just like the Vice Chancellor has indicated, to intimate those that are joining us today for the first time with the information that there are links to all those papers that were presented yesterday. The second is that I will give a very brief summary of, probably limited to the titles of each of the 4 papers that were presented yesterday. Let me start by saying that yesterday's session, day 1, commenced, just like it happened again today, with a welcome address by the Vice Chancellor, Fountain University, Osogbo, Professor Amidu Olalekan Sani. After the welcome address, we had a keynote speech by Professor Camille Omotesho, who happens to be the Pro-Vice Chancellor and Dean, College of Business Law and Social Sciences, University of Derby, United Kingdom. The title of his presentation was Dawah in the 21st century towards a capability maturity model. It was after this that we then had the session in place fully, and that in itself was divided into 2 different sessions, the morning and the afternoon sessions. The person that blazed the trail in the morning session was Professor Moshood A. Baderi of the University of London, who gave us a very comprehensive lecture on the new challenges for Imams and Dawah workers, diaspora, audiences in light of COVID-19 and beyond. The second lecture of the morning session was by Sheikh Abdurrahman Ahmad, who happens to be the Chief Missioner Ansarudin Society, Nigeria and worldwide. He lectured us thoroughly on sermon and preaching in the new Dawah cosmos, imperatives of resources, models, and techniques in a digital world. The second session of that day, which happened to also be the afternoon session, commenced with a lecture by Dr. Musibau Tunde Akani of the Lagos State University, Ojo, Lagos State, who took us on strategic communication, impact in missionary and public relations, mission for imams and Dawah workers. And the very last of lectures yesterday was the one presented by Dr. Nasiru Onibon, who happens to be the provost, Michael Otedola College of Primary Education, Epe Ijebu Ode Road, Epe in Lagos State, who gave us a lecture on whether the Dawah workers between communication and provocation. And I must also say that we did not limit ourselves to the lectures. Both the morning and the afternoon sessions had questions and answer sessions where we had people that participated trying to clarify funny areas which they needed certain better understanding on. And may I say that exactly the same manner in which that was approached is what we are also going to see today. We are thinking, however, that for every of the lectures that we are going to receive today, we should start typing our questions immediately after listening, when the lecture is still very fresh with us, so that we know in specific terms what we want to ask questions upon, and we don't unfortunately forget as we listen to the session, the lectures. We want to have raised in typing. May I therefore first lecturer today in person the citation of Dr. Shitu Abdul-Jalil Kendi, an associate professor. Dr. Shitu Abdul-Jalil Kendi had his BSc in Management Information System in 2004, MSc in Information Technology in 2006, and a PhD in Information Technology in 2009, all from the International Islamic University, Malaysia. He has attended several training sessions and conferences at home and abroad. And he is a member of many professional bodies, including the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers, IEEE, the Nigerian Computing Society, NCS, and the Malaysian National Computer Confederation, MNCC, among others. As an associate professor in the Department of Mathematical and Computer Sciences, Fountain University, Osogbo, Dr. Shitu has taught several courses, supervised undergraduate and postgraduate students, and served as an examiner to a number of higher education institutions in Nigeria. Dr. Shitu has published widely in local and international journals. He is happily married with kids. I hereby invite Dr. Abdul Jalil Kende Shitu to present his paper.
Allahu Akbar.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alhamdulillah that you give us another opportunity to be here today and for giving us this wonderful opportunity to present together all the Imams from the very noble organization Nasfat to come together to deal with the reality of the time. When we look at the topic, is about web and mobile-based communication application using Google Meet in Dawah. Google Meet is one of the applications that we have today. However, before I start, I want us to go through, I hope the slide is being shared along. The first thing I've quoted here is where Allah says in Surah An-Nahl, Allah says, Allah says, invite to the way of your Lord with wisdom and good instruction. I underline the word hikmah wal mau'izatu hasana, wisdom and good instruction. Instruction could be any means. When you are talking to a deaf, there are ways to instruct. The way to instruct them is different from the way you talk to others. When you are talking to somebody who is physically impaired, the way you talk to them is different from the way you talk to others. Now, when you are talking to a generation that they are easily distracted with mobile application, with online matters, they updated themselves with any junk it's called news today, and which means that how a dahi, someone who is engaged in dawah work, should be able to bring these children, this generation, bring them and make them among those who will be our audience. That's what Islam says about generation.
Sorry, our presenter. Do you prefer we share your slide? Can we share your slide on your behalf from this?
Can you hear me?
Because
Yes. Go ahead.
I'm requesting that whether we should share your slide from this end.
Do that.
Okay.
I've been trying to share it from here. It's not going.
Okay, that's okay. We are going to share it from our own end here.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Now, good instruction. One of the good instructions for our modern day now is the mobile application. How are we going to use this thing to communicate, to reach our audience? Looking at this environment, the COVID environment has actually made it possible for us that we just have to find a way of getting our audience. The fact that People are not coming to masjid. People are not coming to Asalatu Grand. Doesn't mean that we should stop Dawah. We should stop communicating them. We should stop monitoring them. We should stop guiding them. All this we can do by making use of the technology. And Google Meet is one of the good technology we can use. It's kind of free and it doesn't cost you anything. And you can actually relate with the audience and have a real life interaction with them. Anyone you are interacting with as a da'i, that he knows that you have a kind of concern about his life activity, that kind of person will also have interest in whatever you are telling him or her. Google Meet comes with free, with G Suite, subscription for unlimited video conferencing, or free to everyone for meeting up to 60 minutes long. However, they actually improve on that one. You can keep on with people more than that nowadays. On Google Meet, you can share your screen, you can send files through chat, you can free from everyone to use. It's free for everyone to use. No additional fee for calling participants, and additional tool of G Suite subscription is also there for those who have the G Suite. That one will come with some money, but if you have it, you have access to virtually everything. Let me quickly compare Google Meet and Zoom. They are somehow similar. The only thing that propels us to come to Google Meet nowadays is when you look at Google, you realize that this is an organization that have a very robust infrastructure. Everybody knows what Google is all about. And you cannot imagine when Google is the one that behind this kind of application. It means their application will be robust and easy. It doesn't sap your data as Zoom will do, because you're actually working on the cloud environment built by Google. That makes it easy for you to relate easily without spending too much. They both have collaboration tools, which includes share screen, breakout room. You can private chat, you can talk to easy, you can talk to people anyhow, you can monitor anyone. In fact, for me, I use it for my classroom. I monitor my students every time. Once you are out of my class, I will tell you that you are out of my class. I quickly monitor them. And it's unlike any other application that students sometimes they pretend as if that they were with you. In natural sense, they will just on their system and they leave. What I did is, once I'm presenting, I'm having my class, at times I send questions. I pose questions to particular students. If that student cannot answer me immediately, then I will know that student is not with me online. That makes me monitor my students, and they all know that once they are with me, you don't have option. You have to be with me every now and then. Looking at the comparison, Google Meet allows up to 250 nowadays, though Zoom have up to 500. Even with that Zoom, you have to buy it, you have to subscribe to a lot of things. Fortunately, two of them, they have similar things. For Google Meet, if you want to call in, it's free. Unlike Zoom, that if you want to call in, you have to pay some amount. However, this one also, you have to come with the G Suite. It's very easy to use and effective. Love the minimalist user interface, does not suck up your battery as such. I love using the tool at work. As I told you, we have meeting, you have interaction. The issue of bad network is not always there because you are actually working on your Gmail account, which is part of Google package. The only disadvantage is that when there are connection with low bandwidth, the video freezes. And if you cannot use video, you can just unmute your video, then you use the voice. That's what we make use of in several times when we are using Google Meet. And with Google Meet, you can actually enjoy a lot of things. Because I want to make this one a kind of practical, I don't want it to be the type that you will just keep reading. I would like to share with you. I would like to invite people. I already sent a link to Google Meet that whoever wants to join the, I posted something on the chat here that if you click on it, you can actually join the Google Meet class with me, whereby I will be able to guide you how to use it. I want us to have an hands-on practical experience of how to use Google Meet. I hope some of us will be able to do. And even after this session, if you still have anything, any further clarification, you can still communicate to me, you can still talk to me, and inshallah, anytime I will be with you to guide you further. Okay. For those who can't join the video, Google support calling, which means if somebody cannot join the video and that person knows the room you are using, you can call in and talk to you and ask questions without costing anything. Unlike most other video conferencing programs, Google Meet doesn't require an additional add-on. Google Meet, you don't need to install anything. It's a complete web-based. It's a web-based application. You don't need to have any installation, especially when you're using your computer. All what you have to do is you type meet.google.com. Then you click on it, it takes you to your room. Or even from your Gmail account, when you look at the right side of your Gmail account, you can even initiate a Google Classroom, a Google Meet web from there. How to use Google Meet? What you have to do, the first step is you go to googlemeet.com, meetgoogle.com. You open it, the app, either on iOS or any Android, then you just start like that. You can use calendar. You can schedule a time. You can schedule your meeting with anybody. You click start, new meeting, or enter your meeting code. It's just like the Zoom also. Your meeting code, what I did with my students, I will always send the meeting code to them and they will just join, and I will be welcoming them as they enter my class. Just like my physical practical classes. I see the students when they enter the class, the way you will also be seeing those you are making Dawah with, those you are talking to, you are able to monitor them. In fact, for Content University, I ask my students to let me see how they dress. Because you can imagine how students are funny. Some of them will dress somehow. I have to tell you, you are in my class, you have to assume that you are in the physical class with me. Therefore, go and dress properly. And I've seen the comment from some of these parents say, hey, we like what is happening here. Even in your house, they try to monitor how you behave. Now imagine a dahi that also go to this extent to monitor the audience, to guide them further. Those info will actually love you, they will like you. And because they see how the way you relate with them, they see that you are not just managing them, you want to make them to become somebody better in their life, in their practical and personal life. Therefore, you try to monitor them, see how they dress. Many times I will send you out of my class the way I will do in my physical class. I will send you out if you don't dress properly. And their parents say that we quickly tell them, please go and dress properly, because it seems that this lecture will not let you in. That's a part of the way that we monitor our students in Content University. And at the same time, it's the same way we can do with other with people who are actually with us online in Dawah activities. You visited the mosque, you don't have point to see them again, and you want to see how they are improving on their activities. Try to do that. Choose the Google Meet account you want to use. If you don't have a Google account before, you can create a Gmail account, either google.com, gmail.com, any of these kind of things you can create. Click join the meeting, you will have the ability to add others to the meeting too. For personal use, how to use it? If you're already using Gmail, Google Photo, YouTube, or another Google product, you sign into your existing Google account. For instance, if you have a Gmail account, you don't need to have another Gmail account. The same account you can use for your Google Meet. Don't have a Google. If you don't have Google account, you can create one immediately. It's very easy to create Google account. In actual sense, Google gives you a lot of space to keep your everything. I can tell you virtually everything about the data I've used, the material I've used all my life since like more than 20 years ago, like almost like since 2000 and since year 2000, I still have virtually everything on Google. The period Google started, I moved all my things from my other email, I moved them to Google, and I still have access to all of them up to today. Which means even if I lose my computer, something happened to my external disk, I still have all my documents on the Google platform, which is cloud. You can start a meeting from any modern browser. You don't need to have a specific browser. Any browser you can, it's okay with Google Meet. There's no additional software to install, which means you don't need to look for space on your computer because it's online thing. You don't need to download anything. Just go straight. If it is your phone, you may need to go download Google Meet on it to use. If it's your computer, you don't need to download anything. For your phone, you can actually make use of that easily. How to start a video meeting? You create a meeting. These are the things I actually want to train you. I want to take you along in my practical session of Google Meet. Let me see if I am able to do that. So that I want to link you to other. But it seems that this environment is not allowing me to do that. Let me see. I want to invite others to my Google Meet so that with the link you can always join me anytime, any moment you want. Let me try to send it through the chat, and I hope with the chat you can communicate me, you can talk to anyone, you can join my classroom. Let me share this screen with you. I hope you can see it. This is a Google Meet, and if I want to invite people, I can invite you through this. I can relay with you through this, and it's easy for everyone to. I just copy this link and invite anyone I want to invite, and it's as easy as that. And because I'm using the camera for the Zoom, that's why I'm not using the camera for the Google Meet, because the same camera I cannot use two camera. I did one camera for two applications at the same time on the system, but there will be a kind of confusion. And the audio is also there. You can turn it. Let me try to type something for you. As I'm talking, you will see that anything I say, it will come immediately. Try to do something. Try to say anything. Your student will be able to read whatever you are saying. Someone you are talking to will know. Let me see. Let me start calling name. Mr. Noibi, Professor Muse, Dr. Salman. All these will come up and the student will be able to, the audience will know what you are actually saying. This is one of the advantages that you find in Google Meet. And with this, I hope we are able to do something together on Google Meet. Google Meet is very easy to use. Please explore any of these things. Fonte University, we are always ready to communicate with you, to guide you further. We are for you, you are for us. Anytime you want us to guide you further, please just let us know. We get back to you. I think that's what I have for today, inshallah. And I hope after this meeting, I will be getting feedback to have a private training with anyone that is interested to get more knowledge on how to use Google Meet. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much, Dr. AJK Shitu, for that brilliant presentation. And I think I'm very sure that we must have benefited so much from your wealth of experience. We sincerely appreciate that. Thank you. Now there is a slight modification in the mode of asking questions and answering the question by the speaker. Just like we did yesterday, we are going to ensure that all the questions should be asked at a go, so that the speakers, will now attend to them as may be applicable. Thank you so much. Now, on this note, I would like to now hand over again to the moderator, Professor Goke Ladude, to continue with the program. Thank you so much, Prof.
Thank you very much. We are moving to the second paper of the day. But before we do that, let me start with what the last speaker ended with, which is the fact that this whole idea of having a workshop will not start and end with these particular sessions that we are having. He has intimated us with the fact that it will be available at any point in time. We need further trainings on what exactly he has lectured us on. And I'm also particularly delighted to note that this was more of a practical session, which implies that virtually every one of us must have learned one or two things beyond what we initially knew before this workshop. The second paper presenter is Dr. Nusra Bolatito Afolabi Balogun, an associate professor. And I now read our citation. Dr. Nusra Bolatito Afolabi Balogun had a BSc, MSc, and PhD in biochemistry from the Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, and worked as a researcher before joining Fountain University, Osogbo. Dr. Afolabi Balogun has been an external examiner to a number of universities and has served as a supervisor to many master's and PhD candidates. She has won a number of prestigious grants, honors, and awards, including the Federation of European Biochemical Societies, FEBS, Travel Fellowship Award, and MacArthur Foundation Dissertation Grant, among others. Dr. Afolabi Balogun has published widely in national and international journals and is a member of relevant professional bodies and committees within and outside the university. He has also participated in several biochemistry workshops and conferences in Nigeria and overseas. She is, as I have stated earlier, an associate professor at Fountain University. Dr. Nusra Bolatito Afolabi Balogun is invited for a paper presentation.
Please unmute your mic, Dr. Nusra Balogun. We can't hear you.
Sorry, UL sir, please can you unmute Dr. NBAB?
Yes, you are already unmuted. We can hear you now.
Sir, please can you unmute NBAB?
You are already unmuted. You can start your presentation.
UL sir? Okay.
Yes, can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, please can you unmute NBAB?
Okay, are you using another interface? I have unmuted Dr. Nusra.
Okay. I want to speak with from the NBAB, sir.
Yes, I got your point. I'm trying to
Signal
unmute
strength on NBAB.
NBAB now. Yes, you are unmuted now. Dr. NBAB is unmuted now, so you can go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. It's a pleasure for me to be in the midst of renowned scholar today at the International Visual Training Workshop organized by Fountain University and its proprietor, the Nasfat Society International. Today, I have been charged to discuss the quality assessment, student feedback, and improvising Sir, please I'm not able to use NBAB, sir.
You're already using it.
It's not allowing me to share my slides. I'm to give a talk on the assessment of for e-learning, student feedback, and improvising hands-on. I will be working with this outline.
Sorry, Dr. MBAB, are you on? You have been enabled to share your screen. I don't know what is happening now at your end.
So maybe, sir, I should just talk, and maybe if you can share for me from your hand, sir. You, sir, maybe I should just keep talking. You share for me from your hand. I'm not able to attach my document from my side. So I would be working with the outlines. So as a form of introduction today, I'll be looking at the Nigerian education system prior to COVID-19 in February 2020. The primary education system before February 2020 in Nigeria has been the one of a face-to-face education system, which entails direct communication between the trainer and the trainee. And this education system had been a standardized regulatory strategy that has been charged with so this education system has its standardized regulatory body that has been charged. Yes, I think this is fine for me. That has been charged with regulatory activity. Nevertheless, we have some online platforms like the National Open University, and due to the difference in the operating system and the requirements and the audience involved, there is need for a separate evaluation method for the online or e-learning technique. To effectively look at e-learning, 5 aspects of quality control were considered or will be considered in this presentation, which is information technology, teaching skill, adjustment to student need, planning and infrastructure, organization infrastructure. Internationally, 4 lines of action are used to maintain or to attain these 5 quality. And these involve the merging of infrastructure in terms of the ICT and the planning into the equipment and infrastructure platform, followed by the training, technical know-how of both the trainer and the trainee. The third aspect that was considered internationally is the services and the content that would be given or that would be sent online. And lastly, the cooperation and dialogue, ability to be able to interact and cooperate with amongst the trainer and the all party involved. So for the purpose of this discussion, I will be looking at countries that base their assessment on positive self-concept and interpersonal skill, and that also have the ability to integrate growth and changes into career development, as well as build a capacity to have interpersonal relationship. So the first country I'm considering is Canada. The first country I'll be looking at is Canada, which is located in North America, because of the fact that Canada is a choice country for Nigerian immigrants. The education system in Canada does not require, is not a centrally regularized education. Rather, they base their e-learning or university system on in North America have the college, the council. They have the Council of Higher Education and Accreditation, distance learning education training program that monitors their online activity. The same thing in the Europe, accreditation organization is in charge of quality assessments. The United Kingdom, on the other hand, have a more established regularization or assessment structure with more than 4 monitoring bodies. These bodies include the Higher Education Academy, that is the most recent. Then we have the Quality Assurance Agency, the Joint Information System, and the Open University. The Open University is the oldest of all these 3. Please, can we go to slide 7? Okay, the Open University has the Open University has 4 basic, next slide, sir. Okay, yes, this slide. The Open University has 4 basic, no, the next slide, sir. They have 3 basic platforms. That's, they have a focus. What are their focus? They have the focus, the measure, and the method that they use in standardization of their education. In terms of their focus, they focus on the material, that's the learning material. What material are they going to use to teach? Hence, as Dawah officer, we are to pay attention to the material that we're going to use in communication. These materials should, irrespective of either hadith or Quranic sources, we should standardize our material. Then the services as well as student support. Now, the measures that OU use in maintaining this include academic content. The academic content is such that they ensure correctness in terms of argument and description. Before you take anything out there, because it is online, it is necessary that you be sure of the correctness of what you're sending out. And when you are giving a brief summary, it should also be correct in terms of content of material. And to now decimate this into the online, they use the pedagogical method of teaching, which allows effective learning of material. As mentioned by Dr. Akanji yesterday, when you are doing online communication or online teaching, you should ensure that it is communication rather than marketing. You should not make your presentation or your lectures you should not make it a commercial product. It should be a communication product, such that when you communicate and the audience are interested in what you have communicated, it will also serve as a means of marketing. And lastly, to ensure or to support students, just like what the Fountain University did recently by supporting students and staff for the online program, they subscribe to MTN so that students and staff don't have to bear the burden of internet services. So that is a kind of support that the ON also look at, quality service support in terms of delivery and software. And in software, now when you're sending documents, for instance, I'm operating from a Mac system and I want to communicate with somebody with a window or someone that has a Linux, I should look for a software that is a common document. For instance, PDF is universal everywhere you go. And the process by which OU had employed in quality control has been mainly by quality control, quality assurance, and quality enhancement. In the control system, it is what they do while the after a presentation, after a lecture, that's when they do their control, post-production. While the quality assurance is during production, ensuring there is enough light, there is always material, internet, and everything. So that is what they do during the quality assurance. While the quality enhancement is something that is done after the entire program has been done. The shortcomings or the faults that is observed from control and assurance is what they do in enhancement to improve future or prevent future lapses. So next slide, sir. Now I will look at the EQ properly, the factors that makes your e-learning or your online program effective. The first one we're looking at is still the material, because your material, unlike what we have when you are doing face-to-face Dawah, face-to-face lecture, once your material or your content is off your hand, when you say you're going online, online means you're going off hand. That means that thing is already taken off your hand. You cannot control it again. A material that you send out today can get to Germany, can get to its locations that you have not been before. Hence, in my field, we say citation is very important. In your field, like my VC said yesterday, it is a case of Hadith and Quranic citation. Gone are the eras of Malam Yechi. The current generation of listeners, the current generation of followers want to know, where did Malam see what Malam has said? So the next one as EQ that we're going to look at is the structure or environment, visual environment. The visual environment entails distractions, structures. If I'm giving an academic presentation, then I should be in an environment that would denote or that would encourage such. If you are in an environment where you are giving a Dawah, there should not be background noise or factors that would distract the listener from what you are trying to communicate to them. So I'll quickly just jump communication and student assessment, because that is a crucial part of quality control. So I'll go to flexibility. Flexibility is just you find a way, striking a balance between what you want to give, what you are giving, and whom you are giving it to. Malam Isa mentioned yesterday that the location is different. So we should find a way of striking a balance to be in between, such that people listening from diaspora are still being able to listen at a time that is not too, you shouldn't even place your Dawah or your meeting at a time that would be inconveniencing either the listener or any of the parties that are supposed to be part of the program. The support, as I've mentioned earlier, is just what can you do to enhance the quality of the program that you are giving. Staff qualification and experience. Experience, they say, is the best teacher in life. And the Prophet ﷺ has employed us as Muslims to strive for knowledge. The Prophet said we should seek knowledge. So if aside paper qualification, there are so many things that we do that it's not for the purpose of paper qualification. You can go ahead, you can go around, go look at videos, look at presentation. How do people give this thing online? How can you standardize what you have at hand? And in the vision and institutional leadership, for every organization, as the leader of an organization that wants to engage in online lectures or online Dawah, there should be this futuristic plan. You should aim to attain international standard. International standard, so that you don't make a below grade preparation If you have a little aspiration, then you can, even if you are not getting to that level that you wanted to, you can still get a little above what is conventionally available. I'll also skip resource allocation so that I can discuss those three much later. Holistic approach. Gone are the days of cut your coat according to your size. It is now a case of cut your coat according to the material at your disposal. I want to do research. You want to do Dawah, but I know I don't have the facility. I don't have the factors that makes me do it the way they would do it in the United Kingdom. But I know in the United Kingdom they can do this. Okay, I could now domesticate what they do there in a Nigerian format. Okay, so the next slide now, sir, is on communication. The communication system, when you're communicating to communicate on platform, I have looked at it from 4 points of view. A situation where you have the same time and same place. There's same time, same place. And in this case, I can use technology by using a PowerPoint to present my work, and I can also demonstrate to my students. Also, I can have the same time, but we'll be in different locations, just that as we're having it now. So you can do video conferencing, you can do chatting, you can do phone calls, audio chat, so many other things. Now, another form of communication can be different time at the same place. In this case, it's going to be more like simulations. We are in the same place, but the timing is different. I send something to you before it gets to you. It's not getting to you at the same time. We can also have the asynchronous communication, whereby you have different time and different location. When this happens, you can do it by email, you can communicate, or you can do Dawah via email, you can do Dawah via e-forum, audio, and so many other platforms. So now we'll be looking at assessment. How do you assess online? The assessment here I have placed in 5 different columns. To assess our student, you can either do e-assessment by a formal means, semi-formal synchronous, semi-formal asynchronous, informal synchronous, or formal synchronous. The major factors that we're considering here is how the authenticity in terms of identification. Are you sure it is a student that you want to do this exam that is doing the exam? That's one factor. Another factor is the location. How flexible is this location? Must all of us be in the same room before you can do this exam, or can you do it in different places? So the formal allow easy identification because it's one-on-one, show your ID card and go. However, the shortcoming of that is that it doesn't allow flexibility in terms of time and location. While the semi-synchronous is also easy to use, but it has issue in terms of location, in terms of time. The timing is not too flexible. And for semi-asynchronous, you have that in which the identification is easy. There is flexibility in terms of time and location, but it is not cheap. So what I'm saying invariably is you can also look at what is your aim of assessment. Are you assessing for maximum opportunity or for maximum benefit? Hence, as an academia, what is most important to us is integrity of the examination. And when you're looking at integrity of examination, identification is very important. So the major drawback of that is just time. So you can work around that time, fix the time, and it will still go well with. So now, next 2 slides have discussed this. So now I just show a matrix of quality assessment. This matrix just shows that for you to know how qualitative your online program is, you can just decide to look at the prerequisites, implementation, results, and follow-up. Next slide, sir. So you can just look at these 4 classes. You can consider them by these 4 classes. So for instance, your aim is to teach and learn. That is the aim of Dawah. If that is the case, as a prerequisite, what you must have in place include that you must, that definitely, since you say it's E, then it's going to be an external program. You are not collected in the same place. Then there should be a very established organization, as mentioned earlier. There should be participants. There will be, in terms of participants, there will be a teacher and partners. So partner in this case is the ICT. Like I have mentioned and shown in previous work, the ICT is an important component of e-learning. So the ICT. So to measure or to implement this, communication is very important. Then there should be an assessment techniques. And you can also get the result by looking at the learning outcome and are you able to achieve your targets? You should have a goal. Why do you want to do this Dawah? Are you trying to make a combat? Are you trying to modify the life? So if you are able to get the targeted aim, then you will say you have accomplished this. So the next is how to follow up. And in follow up, it is basically an evaluation process. So in terms of income, the income or the resource allocation, definitely from this table that I have shown here, it is showing that e-learning is basically the major cost goes into technical infrastructure. It's basically you spend more of your money on technical infrastructure, on staff training, on ICT, as against the campus where you just you be spending on physical infrastructure. And campus is far cheaper as compared to the e-learning technique. So here on my slide, I just have a slide, a page for hands-on. So for the hands-on, what I did is I'm able to share my slide. I had taken us to my terminal where you can also engage participants to either search or look for specific items to solve a particular thing and send to you via any platform. That's if you want. Then there is what we call opinion poll during conferences, during online. So the opinion poll is something you just send immediately. You share the link and everybody will answer right where they are, and you will see a statistical chart of the result of. So that is a way of one-on-one online interaction during e-learning. And as a conclusion, I said that e-learning needs to be set up in a quality assurance agency. There should, before you can say you want to do e-learning, there should be quality assurance. There should be a guideline. What are the standard things you want to? What is your mandate? What do you want to achieve? What is the minimum benchmark that you are looking at? Secondly, there should be, you should keep pace with international standard. If you want to do e-learning, the e-learning should be up to standard. It should not be below standard. And it should be to establish e-learning, there should be an advisory board. The advisory board would be the one that will be monitoring and looking at what you are doing. Are they of standard? Are they lesser than standard? More like a critic group of management, kind of. And lastly, but most importantly, there should be an extensive methodological development for assessing e-learning. There should be a periodic method that you will use in assessing the e-learning program. Thank you very much for listening. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. UL, sir. UL, sir. UL, sir. Okay, maybe while we're waiting for the UL, it's unfortunate I'm not able to share my screen directly from my place because I had some other pages that would have been able to work with to show us how to do an hands-on program. But I don't know if I'm able to, if this is showing. Okay, so if this is showing, so this is a way to do. I think my whiteboard is showing now, so I can just write so directly the participants are able to see it. You can write a question for the participants to answer. You can do assessments and give them time that you are sending for instance, the whiteboard can serve as a chalkboard. So you just have it, you send materials onto them, and you can clean. You can also say so so with your whiteboard, so when you are sharing, the share button that is down there, you can, I don't know if you have if you are able to see the whiteboard that I sent, you can just write what you want and the participant would attend to what you ask them to do. So I don't know. So I'm still displaying my whiteboard again. So if I have my whiteboard, I can say give from my whiteboard, I can say give so, then submit in 10 minutes. So you would have given a link for them to do. Also on the share button here on Zoom, you can share a URL. So the URL could be NCBI, sorry, it's my ncbi.org. So when you do this, they can go and look for it. So you can, so many things can be done on so that you can make it as interactive as possible. And as you're doing this, any student or anyone that is not able to do this will know, okay, I'm not able to get it.
Sorry.
Welcome, sir.
Yes, thank you so much. That was a beautiful presentation. Sorry, we have a dual host, so I was unable to unmute myself to actually coordinate, but now I think it's fine now.
Okay, sir. So I try to fit in a little, just, all right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Now we are about to take the third and final paper of the second day of this workshop. And that is to be presented by Professor Museoke. I'm now to read his citation. Professor Museoke had his BSc in microbiology from the University of Benin, MSc in microbiology, and PhD in crystallography from the University of London, Birkbeck College, United Kingdom. He was a postdoctoral research fellow in the Division of Biological, Environmental Sciences and Engineering of King Abdullah University of Science and Technology, Tuwal, Saudi Arabia. Professor Museoke was also a postdoctoral research fellow at the Biomedical Sciences Research Center and University of St. Andrews, United Kingdom. A highly cited scholar, he has published extensively in highbrow local and international outlets. He is currently a professor of microbiology in the Department of Biological Sciences of Fountain University and the director of our sub-degrees and professional programs. It gives me pleasure to invite Professor Museoke to deliver his paper.
Okay. Good now. Okay. Salam alaikum, everybody, and I hope you can all hear me. Thank you. Continuing on the theme of online facilities for training and education. For my part, I'm going to be sharing with you some experiences of my colleagues, both during this pandemic and prior to this pandemic, on the design and implementation of online classes. I would also be talking about how to identify what motivates students to participate in online classes, some of the challenges that teachers and students face, and finally, I will be talking about why it is important for us to make the most of this opportunity to improve our education sector, especially as we don't even know when things. I hope you can see my slides. It is frozen. Okay, yes. The situation we're in right now is that we are currently in lockdown, and according to the World Bank and UNESCO, over 70% of the world population has been affected by school closures. And when it did look like things were not going to go back to normal pretty soon, schools the world over decided to make the transition from face-to-face classes to online classes. And as you can imagine, that's been challenging for a lot of us. We also have our own peculiar problems in Africa. And according to the World Bank and UNESCO again, close to 90% of us don't have access to household computers. And over 80% lack access to the internet. In Nigeria, at least I can speak for Nigeria, I don't know about the other countries, but we also have our own peculiar problems to do with electricity. About half of us don't have electricity, and the other half that have it is gone today, here today, gone tomorrow situation. Okay, so whichever way you want to look at it, it's not easy for us to make that transition to online classes. So I just want to share with you some of the tools that we use for online classes here at Fountain University, and also by my colleagues all around the world. We have video-based tools, we have audio-based, and we have text-based tools. Most of the platforms that I'm showing on here are free. And some of them are free for a specific duration of time. I think depending on your location and the kind of students that you have, and we'll talk about that eventually, you would have to decide as the school and the teacher which one you're going to pick. And the ideal thing is to have a dedicated school learning management system that will be accessible to teachers and students. The important thing though is that the video-based platforms are the best because they closely simulate what you get with our face-to-face classes. We use Zoom, Microsoft Teams, they're free up to a certain extent. And they're the best, like I said, because you get video, audio, you can chat on these platforms, and you can also share files on these platforms. Okay, so the first thing that hit us was that face-to-face classes to online classes, and I will hazard a guess here and say that probably over 99% of the where we find other students and teachers up until we were skeptical about using it, and some of us were hesitant. But of course, when you attach salary to these things, we quickly adopt. So, but then it's been difficult for us in adapting what we have to continue teaching the students. So that was a challenge. The other challenge that we had was that it was difficult. One thing that you have to understand, and I'm sure this will probably even affect the pre-university students, is that you have to make them understand why they have to be in school. When you're doing things online, it is very difficult to do that. Another challenge that we had was it was very difficult picking up nonverbal cues. And what I really mean by that is that students don't have to tell you literally that they are frustrated or they are not understanding what you're saying. You can just see that from the body language. And you cannot do that online, okay? We also had unrealistic expectations. Part of that was we were expecting students to just show up for classes online as they would in the case of face-to-face classes. And that was not just going to happen because it's a completely different ballgame. Okay, and then finally, we had a lot of discussions amongst ourselves about struggling to keep students engaged and motivated to continue to participate in the classes. Okay, so yes, students also face challenges. The reason why face-to-face classes are universal worldwide is because it's easy to regulate a lot of things. And again, for the generation of students that we're dealing with, we really have to be physically present. I think that is an important requirement as a teacher. Be physically present to motivate them, make them understand why they have to come to school. If they are sitting in their room at home and you're just dealing with them online, it is going to be difficult. Another challenge for students was that, well, you have to have access to internet, computers, more than constant electricity. And this is determined by family income. So, well, there's no way we can regulate that. The other thing is there's also distractions at home. This is not school. Am I? Okay. Okay. This is not school. So it's not easy. It's not easy regulating what happens at home. Some of the students also express frustration with technology and electricity. And so they could not attend classes regularly. And one of the reasons why schools, a physical setting with teachers and students, why it is ideal is because there's direct contact between fellow students, among fellow students and teachers. But in this particular case, that wasn't going to happen. And so it was easy for students to feel isolated and no interaction with their fellow students and teachers. So now let's look at how you design online classes. There is enough, ample empirical evidence that you need at least 4 months to design an effective online class, irrespective of what level of education. That part of the reason for that is that you have to restructure the flow and the content of the course material. You have to ask yourself quite a few questions as well. I know that we didn't have that opportunity this time around, but I think we have learned from this, and it would allow us to move on to better things. So what do your students want to learn? You have to make that decision pretty fast, and then distill that into sizable chunks that you can deliver at a go in the quickest possible time. The other thing is that, for practical intensive subjects, if you're teaching music, for instance, and you want to teach students how to play guitar, that would be difficult to do online. If you're a biology teacher and you want to teach about how to dissect frogs, or chemistry, titration experiments, all this will be difficult for you to do online. So you have to search online for educational resources. And, the internet is packed full with things like this. YouTube videos, 5-minute YouTube videos are fantastic. So it's important that you also look for all this, and this takes time before you can present your classes. In this part of the world, I've already talked about our peculiar problems, internet access, etc. But the question now is, how do you promote inclusivity? And what that means is that, how do you make sure that all your students can attend your classes online? Or at least most of your students. Now, one of the challenges that we faced was bandwidth issues. And I've just ranked the different kinds of resources that you can use to teach students online based on the bandwidth required. So at the bottom of that league table there are the text-based classes, and that was very popular with our students here. They were more comfortable with that because a lot of them could access classes that way. And unfortunately, the best classes, which are the video-based classes, require more bandwidth, and this is not always accessible. So as a teacher, as a school, you will have to make that empirical decision on which one you can use best for your classes. So now let's look at how do you implement online classes. Again, empirical evidence suggests that classes, especially for pre-university students, should not last more than 20 minutes. Once you start going over 20 minutes, irrespective of what the platform is, once you start going over 20 minutes, you're going to start losing the students. They will start to get disengaged. But then for university students, it's okay if you go up to 45 minutes. But really, ideally, you don't want to do more than an hour. The other implementation strategy is that you need to lay down the rules of engagement. We are more familiar with doing social things online, and that is especially the case for the present generation of students. You know, they do shopping online, they look for partners online, but they don't do classes online. So you have to make the students understand that for these few minutes we're going to be together, the same rules as our face-to-face classes apply. So the other thing is that, and this is why it even takes time to design these classes, is that you need to really look for things that the students can do, inquiry-based learning by themselves. Remember that you will not have the luxury of extra classes, tutorials, etc. So they'll have to learn things themselves. You also have to figure out activities for students to do at home. So things that you can find in the house for them to do, that they don't have to come to school to do, but they can do at home. One big problem that my colleagues and I also noticed during this period that we're doing classes online is that a lot of students were feeling isolated. And once the next thing after isolation is that you're going to lose interest and then you stop attending classes. But by encouraging collaboration among students, group assignments, they could connect with their peers and colleagues and attend classes more frequently. And finally, on implementation, it is important that we start to consider blended classes, which is you would have one main format platform that the students would use, but then you mix it up with, say, some video recording of yourself. When I did that to my students, they were excited to see my ugly face, according to them. And then that got them more interested in attending the class the next time. Okay, so this slide here is trying to help us understand how online classes can influence motivation of students. There are three types of engagements that are used to measure student motivation. The first one, which is the first circle up there, is behavioral. And this measures the degree of involvement of students in the learning activity. The next one, which is on the left of your screen, is emotional engagement, which is the affective reaction of students to what they're being taught. So are they comfortable with the way the topic was taught? how do they feel about the topic? And then the last one is cognitive. Cognitive is the degree to which the students master and comprehend what they're being taught. Okay, when all three overlap, that is when you get the best out of the students. So the first one, face-to-face classes, you can see that all three or face-to-face classes incorporate all three. But unfortunately, we don't have that luxury, right? So the next best thing is the video-based. But like I said, it's expensive for a lot of us here to do that on a regular basis. You can also try pre-recorded audio and videos. Unfortunately, that does not take care of behavioral and emotional engagement. However, you can just supplement your videos with any of the other types of platforms. The audio-based takes care of behavioral and cognitive, and the same thing with the text-based. So that is why it's important that you do blended classes, just so that you can take care of all these other factors that motivate students to participate. Okay, so when it comes to, and I think the simple answer is yes. It's just as simple as that. Because I think I have participated in a lot of curriculum redesign since I've been teaching in this country. And there's a lot of focus on ICT. But I think for the first time, we understand why the government is saying that we should have ICT. We should be ICT compliant. I think it was just something that we thought we just had to do, but now we really need it. But also, I think just to bring our educational system up to the same level as we find outside this country. So it's also giving us an opportunity to overhaul our course and program content and to develop to the present generation. Remember I said earlier that these students are more familiar with ICT. And so we have to meet them up somewhere. Even if we do return back to normal, I think we need to consider keeping some of the things that we have learned and continue using them. Because I think I do find some videos that I've sent to my students, even they provide better explanation than I could. And so, you know, I'm keeping those, for instance. And finally, like I said earlier, you know, we were not too comfortable starting off. But I think a lot of us have learned now that we can do more with computers. And that is what computer literacy is really. It's not about program. Excuse me. It's not about knowing how to do programming, but just knowing how to use computers at all. Job advertisements for teachers would include something like, you know, ability to do online classes. I don't think that would be too surprising. So, in conclusion, for designing online classes, it's important that we allow sufficient time for planning. I know that we did not do that this time around, but we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. In fact, we do not know. It's impossible to predict what the future is going to be like when it comes to this COVID-19 lockdown. I know we're easing down lockdown every day all around the world, but we don't know if there's going to be a spike. And then all of us would have to go back indoors again. Okay, so this is a good time to make the best of what we have and improve. Okay, and I've said before, it's important that we consider online resources. For implementation, we need to set the rules for engagement and try to employ diverse platforms. Variety is the best. For motivation, in order to motivate students, let us employ a platform that most of the students, at least most of the students, can benefit from. And finally, our students are dependent. They don't call the shots at home. So they cannot decide when they're going to get data, when they're going to have electricity, etc. Okay, so we have to be understanding when it comes to that. And they're young, so we don't expect them to be the wisest when it comes to these things. So we have to keep on trying. It's difficult enough, I'm sure, especially for teachers or pre-university students, making them understand why they have to go to school. And now we're saying they have to do it online. So please, I think we should take that into consideration when we are designing our classes. I think I'll end here. Thank you for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Musteoke, for that very beautiful presentation. You have again been able to highlight the very many challenges we had, both as academic staff and as students at ETG. COVID-19 has taught us a lot that we probably were never prepared for. Once again, thank you very much for that presentation. Now we are moving to the aspect that has to do with clarifications of areas that we seek better understanding on. There are issues that we are not too clear about. We want participants to indicate, just like it has initially been indicated, by raising their hands, asking their question, and also identifying who exactly whatever question is posed is meant for. So can we please raise hands up presently so that we know specifically those that intend to ask questions and from whom specifically? Choretire. Jalil Alau.
You are recognized.
Okay, assalamu alaikum.
No, please hold on. Please hold on. We want to recognize everybody once and for all. So that
we want to harvest everything.
Exactly. So you are number one, then followed by Oluwatoki. Then we have Techno Common CS. That is the name with which you register with the device. We don't know. We have Techno Common CS. Then Akim Kidri. Oluwatoki Camille. And Badmos Ademola, in that order. Yes. 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 Let's take those few questions first. The first batch of the questions. Then we now move ahead. Yes, starting with Shoretire Jalil Alau, please.
Assalamu alaikum. Professor Musa. Okay, Professor Musa So, Musa, okay. Jazakumullah khairan. So, I have two questions, sir, briefly. On the challenges of online courses for learners, sir. You made mention of motivate the school, and the last one, you said lack of interest due to lack of direct contact with teachers and fellow students. Sir, I want you to, how can we marry these two, sir? As in, how do you only mention motivate the students? I want you to give us some clues.
Or mute, or mute.
All right.
All right, yes, thank you. Sorry, I did not get the name of the questioner. Yes, yes, this is very difficult for us. I think one of the things that we did, and like I said, I'm sharing with you experiences that we had, was that when we were noticing that some students were dropping out, we had to make a direct contact with them just to understand what the problem was. And if it was just that they were just losing interest, we would have to encourage them directly. I think this is, this job and this situation we find ourselves in right now is more than just teacher student relationship. You also have to be Mr. or Mrs. Motivator. You have to make sure that you're on top of things consistently. And I think that what we also did was that by the time we had established what platforms we were going to use, we then were able to introduce light-hearted moments into the classes, so that because the feeling of isolation was overwhelming for some of them. Okay, so we had to make them feel more comfortable coming into class, online, of course. So I think that's part of what we did, and I think it helped considerably. Thank you.
Yes, can we have Oluwatoki for his questions, please? Oluwatoki, please.
Then please, can we have other questions from a user who has Techno Camon CX? Followed by Mr. Akim Khidib. Okay.
Mine is not a question per se. I just want the Dr. Muse to go back to the first slide where he was talking about 89% lack access to computer. I didn't get the other one, 82%.
Professor Muse, can you respond to that? Omit. Don't worry, I will unmute you.
Yes. Lack was okay. Interest.
Internet access.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, please, can we have the next person? Mr. Akim Khidib.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We can hear you loud and
clear. Can you hear
now.
me, please?
Yes, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
My God.
Please go ahead.
Alaikum. Please, I can't hear you, but if you can hear me, let me go on with my question.
Okay.
Please
yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. I would like to thank the organizer of this virtual conference for trying to make some of our missioners an ICT compliance. Thank you so much. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you abundantly. My question goes to the first presenter. Actually, I don't know I can't recall his name, but it talks about Google Meet. I would like to ask the question that how could we send a video clips of more than 20 minutes into Google Meet? Can that be possible? So that is my question.
Thank you so much, Mr. Akim Kidri. Sorry.
Yeah.
Dr. Shitu, I think that question was actually directed to you. You may want to respond. Yes, Dr. Shitu, you are on.
Okay, Dr. Shitu.
Thank you. Okay, it's a very good question. Actually, Google Meet is meant for real-time interaction. What you do is you can share that file, that video, you can share it on Google Meet. Or the best thing is, since YouTube is also part of Google application, the best thing for you to do is, whatever you do on Google application, just move them to YouTube, because YouTube is kind of permanent. So somebody can also come later to check it. But Google Meet, once you have ended your class, it's like you are meeting somebody. Once you say Salaam Alaikum and you end the class, that's the end of the class. But for a reference purpose, any recording you do, you just put it on YouTube, so that even anybody that wants to use it, view it later, can always go to that YouTube link to do that. That's the best thing to deal with the Google applications. I hope I've answered your question, sir.
Yes, thank you so much, Dr. Shitu, for that brilliant response. Yes, sorry, Alagi Soretire Jalil Alao, you are recognized. We are going to give you the access to ask your question again now, please. Just bear with us. Now, the next person now, Alagi Badmos Ademola, please. You have the floor.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
The question which I wanted to ask has been asked. That's what I decided to raise my hands down again.
Okay, thank you so much. Then the next person, Galaxy 820. We have a question from Galaxy 820. Please, whoever that's registered with that, can you have the floor now to ask your question, please. Bismillah. Well, if Galaxy 820 could not ask his question, then let's move to the next person, Princess MKO. Yeah. Princess MKO, you have been enabled to ask your question, please. Yes, your mic is on now.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Actually, I just want to thank all the speakers today. They all did wonderfully. I'm much familiar with what they discussed, and I really do agree with them. So I just want to thank all of them for doing this.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for that commendation. Yeah. Now, next is Imam Abdul Latif. Can you please ask your question? You have the floor now. Imam Abdul Latif, please. You have the floor now. Can you you have been enabled to unmute your mic and ask your question, please. No, you are yet to unmute your mic. We can't hear you. We can observe that you are talking, but
hello.
Okay, now fine. Your mic is on now. You have unmuted your mic. Yes.
Alhamdulillah, I would like to show my appreciation to the organizers, all the participants, and more importantly, all the erudite scholars that have been feeding us with, live food. Jazakumullah khairah. I just have a little contribution. Number one is that all the lectures being given so far is dwelling towards the Imams, Al-Faz, and Islamic evangelism is concerned as far as the notion of Dawah, except Dr. Mose, who was strictly, who strictly directed his own lectures to the academic environment. I would just like to draw our attention that it is still very much on the Dawah or Islamic evangelism matter. So where he dwelt with doesn't matter. We are still on course as far as his presentation is concerned. Hence, this is the first time I have full-fledged opportunity about this internet or ITC of a thing. I really appreciate it, and we promise, inshallah, that we're going to build over it. Hence, we would like the Fonto University to assist us in having further course or awareness for us as far as this ICT of a thing is concerned. It will be of a very great use for us in particular and Islam in general. Jazakumullah khairan.
Thank you so much. Imam Ablatif, we sincerely appreciate your contribution and your commendation. Yeah, sorry, Alhaji, sorry to Jalil Alao. The other time, I think the technology did not allow you to ask your question. So you have the floor now, please.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah, I don't know if they've taken my question. I will still ask. So it is directed to Professor Muse. May Allah reward you abundantly, sir. On the challenges of online courses for learners, I said that you should help us or provide clues on how to motivate the learners, the school learners, so that they will not lack the interest. That is number one. Number two question, under promoting inclusivity, you mentioned 5 classes, video-based, audio-based, blah, blah, to 5. And there is an arrow that shows from upward like that. There's something in the arrow that I missed. So that is the second question. You wrote something, an inscription in the arrow. I missed it. So those are my 2 questions. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yes, Professor Muse, can you respond to that, please?
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that question. I will show that slide again. I think it's on now. So it's bandwidth. That's on that arrow. Okay. Okay, can you see that now?
Inshallah,
okay, good. Yes. So now the other question was about motivating students.
Yes, clues.
Clues, yes. So one of the best things that you can do is to use different platforms to interact with the students. So if you're using text, for instance, I think you allow them to watch a video on what they're being taught. I think that is a different perspective. Like I said, this is a transcript. So I think there has to be that level of understanding, and so it would be nice if we can directly contact students if we feel that they are starting to lag behind or they're dragging their feet. We directly contact them. We don't have that luxury of meeting them in the classroom. So we have to call them, speak to the parents, whoever is looking after the kids, just to make sure that, because some of my students, they actually were going to come back to school and then go through what we have done again. And it took them a little while to understand that, listen, this is not going to happen. These are the classes. They are taking place right now. Okay, but for the younger generation, secondary school, primary school, I think we have to be on top of things, call the parents, speak to the parents, speak to the kids, just to get some kind of direct interaction with the family. But also, like I said, if you can send them links to videos to watch on what they're being taught, I think that would also encourage them to not lose interest in the classes. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Professor Musa, for that brilliant response to the question asked. Now, before the chief missioner make his response, we have to understand that this workshop is being streamlined live, both on YouTube TV, Nasfat YouTube TV, and Facebook, as well as Fountain University YouTube and Facebook. So it's a live program. And as such, we have some audience that are actually watching and listening to this program. And they have sent in some questions, which I think we need to address as well. So as we go along, and I will try as much as possible to just read one or two questions from both the YouTube interface and Facebook, so that we can also take care of that angle. Now, before I hand over to the moderator, that we continue to usher in our chief missioner. Yes, there is this information, please, where we intend to take virtual photograph of all the participants for this session today. So when we are done, before the Vice Chancellor eventually make his closing remarks, so we need to put on our video device. Make sure you ensure that your video device is active, so that we can take the virtual photograph before we end the program. Thank you so much. Professor Gokelaude, the moderator, sir, can you please come over to continue your assignment? Thank you.
Thank you very much, the University Librarian. Just like he has said, we have the Chief Missioner of Nasfat Worldwide now to give a response. And then I have, therefore, the privilege and the honor to invite Imam Engineer Abdulaziz Maruf Onike to give his response. You have the floor, sir. We want to be very sure that our Chief Missioner is here. It doesn't look like we have him here presently. If however, he's around, can he please, I want to humbly request that he indicates by raising his hand, so that we can capture specifically where exactly he is. We seem to have challenges.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yes, I think he's there.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alhamdulillah. 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 Rabbil Alamin. We thank Almighty Allah because the opportunity of having this seminar. It has been a very wonderful session. And my missioners have benefited so much from it, in spite of the space constraints, because we have over 1,000 missioners in Nasrullah University, and the platform could not accept more than 100. I want to, before commending the organizer, I want to advise next time we use platforms that have the ability to attract or to accommodate larger audience. I commend the management of Ante University. I commend the Education Committee of Nasrullah University, and I commend the National Mission Board of Nasrullah University for making this program a reality. Communication to a missioner is a sine qua non. It's something that cannot be away with. Prophet Musa alayhi salatu wa salam, when he was given the task of talking to Pharaoh, Allah said in chapter 20 of Quran, Bismillah Rahman Rahim, go to Pharaoh. He's a thug, he's a transgressor. Musa did not ask Allah for anything apart from Rabbi Israeli Sodiri, where Sirile Amori, Waluli Ukidata Mil Lizani, Yabuko Kauli, Waluli Ukidata Mil Lizani, I did not Allah as my breast, I mean my affairs, remove the knot from my tongue for people to understand me. It means the essence of communication is to be understood. You are communicating as a scholar, you have an idea to pass as a scholar, and you cannot communicate effectively. It's as good as not communicating at all. Isa reported that Prophet will communicate distinctively. He will make himself understood, and he will repeat himself about 3 times to let you know that what I'm saying is what I'm telling you is what you are getting from me. I don't want this to be the last one we are going to organize, because if you have an idea, you cannot communicate it. You cannot allow your skill communication. One is not doing the Dawah the way it should be done. Allah has told us that communication, speech making, is an innate ability of every individual. Arama, Alama, Insan, Allama Bayan. Quran chapter 57 verse 4. Allama Bayan. We have taught him speech. We have taught him communication. We have taught him how to talk. We have given him that innate ability to address it. It's now left that person to explore skill ability, to nurture that skill ability, and that's what we do from Imams of Nasrullah Ilati. Some of us may say, Imam, that we have been doing sermons all along, we have been talking about it, some people that are going to teach us. There are methodologies in everything. What we have learned in the last few days will be enough for someone to go and from here to attend 1 month training. There's nothing that doesn't require training, and nobody needs this kind of training more than missionaries. We every day, but how do we pass what we read to others? And that is why I say that we can never have enough of this kind of training. I even ask our members, our TTC, some of the people who have attended our TTC training to join this program, because they are trained trainers. Because what they are to do is to cascade whatever they learned to others. I call the management of Ante University, and I'm assuring you of the support of Nasrullah Party Mission Board. You'll be surprised that you have a lot of participants from the mission board. Everybody has been told, was mandated to attend this one, and we even assure them that certificates will be awarded at the end of the training. And I'm sure that that is being planned, because if you attend this one, you won't be allowed to attend the subsequent one. I appreciate the Education Secretary of Nasrullah University, Dr. Adisa, for efforts so that every Nasrullah University secretary gets to know about this training. She's the one sharing the link and other. I met one of our missionaries, in the Paja, Jazakumullah Khaira. He's the one without being mandated, without being asked. He was the one that designed the registration form. using Google platform for this program. I put it on the National Mission Board that you should register as a plan before you are allowed in. For us to have our own data of those who have participated in this course. I said, my discussion, that having knowledge is one thing as a Dawah person. Being able to communicate that knowledge to others is another thing. If you have the knowledge, you cannot communicate it. Some people will say, I'm good at teaching, I'm not good at presenting. If Allah has said that in today's session, I found it difficult to join. I had to be following through YouTube before I now contacted Deputy Registrar of Anthony University. I wouldn't want that one to repeat this because my people have interest in this kind of program. And having got a university of our own, capacity building will not be our problem again in all areas. All the lecturers that have presented since yesterday, they are first-class lecturers. Some of us are looking at what they are presenting, and I said that okay, people are talking to us and they are discussing issues. Some of us are participating in so many online courses. I do that regularly, and I gain so much from what have been presented to us by all the lecturers. I commend the faculty of Anthony University, for example, is one of us, is an I commend him for considering the interest of that missioners. You don't matter Allah assist you in the report. I commend all the staff and both the academic of Anthony University, Professor Gokilalude, Professor Stu, Professor our former TVC, and all of them, they have been wonderful. Medium Matala, add this thing to your sale of goodies on the day of Qiyamah. And I call one of us too, Professor Niban. The one who sent me the list of the lecturers. I said, we have about 1,000 at the party, and I have a lot of them who can deliver very well. And I was disappointed in the presentation of Niban yesterday. That's a never good lecture that can be taken, that can be delivered anywhere. Professor, the provost of Market College of Primary Education, I said Jazakumullah Khairatin. Professor from University in London, both of them, I salute you. And the only thing we can say to you, that is the best you can give us to say Jazakumullah Khairatin. The word you abundant, and we are looking forward to having another session very soon. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you very much, sir, for that exceedingly wonderful response. We will continue to ever appreciate you, sir. Thank you. The next response is by the National Education Secretary, Nasfat, Dr. Ramat Adisa. You have the floor, ma'am.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alhamdulillah.